Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have one of the absolute most epic things I could possibly review here on the channel. We have a brand new line from Nanmu, and I think it may be their most anticipated line ever. This is our very first chance to take a look at the Smart Series from Nanmu, and as you can see, they've begun the Smart Series with probably two of the most fan-favorite Velociraptors in the Jurassic franchise. We have the Blood Knight and White Queen, aka the Jurassic Park 3 male and female Velociraptor. And what's even cooler is, as you can see, we actually have the quills there displayed on the artwork on the front of the box, because if you got that very cool Dragon Soul version of these JP3 Raptors, which was absolutely phenomenal, they did not have the quills. But these figures, well, at least the male, of course, because the female didn't have quills, but the male does actually have quills in this release, and I honestly am so hyped. When I just got the notification that these were at my post office, I pretty much ran to the post office, and then I remembered, that I have a car, so I drove to the post office and grabbed these straight away, and now again I'm immediately getting this review filmed. And you can see the front of the box has a very different style than what you usually see for Nanmu. We've got kind of like an animated almost type of a style, very cool looking image here on the front of the box. You have all sorts of information on the underside, some nice images on the side as well, very much so following along the same trend that we see through the course of the box, as well as of course the Nanmu logo, and then another image again on the back, pretty much the same thing I think we saw on the front. And of course the same thing for the female. You can see we just have a very different image, different pose, everything for the female raptor, same sort of style, of course, same information, all of that fun stuff here though as you move through. And then we can take our very first look at the beauty that lies within this package. Man, that is absolutely unreal. This is my very first chance to actually go ahead and take a look at these guys, because I didn't want to spoil it. I wanted to do that here on screen to really get my first reaction. That is absolutely unreal. Like, I knew these were going to be good, but man, is that ever very, very good. And you can see once you pop the box open, we also again have the female raptor right there. Very cool kind of pop open, almost NECA-ish as far as the way that the boxes pop open. And again, the same thing here for that male. It's a little hard to see with the plastic kind of obscuring it and the light kind of glaring off of it. So let's go ahead, pop these boxes open, and then we'll just bring the raptors in and check them out. Okay, so they are out of the packaging, and oh man, like, Nanmu just destroyed the competition when it comes to articulated Jurassic figures. Like, there is nothing that can compare to what we have with these Smart Series Velociraptors. I mean, I love the Hammond collection, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the overall quality and when it comes to looking for an actual adult style, adult aimed, articulated collectible in the Jurassic franchise, like, it is definitely not going to get better than this. I can tell you that right now. The quality of both the sculpt and paint of this raptor is the exact same high quality that we get with the Nanmu statues. Heck, it may even be better than that on this raptor, and I'm very intrigued to see. I just moved my entire stand here, but I'm very intrigued to see how it stands. So there we go. We absolutely have some pretty obvious visual evidence that the Raptors stand perfectly fine on their own. However, if you do have any balancing issues, Nanmu also includes a stand for you to use to balance your Raptor on, just in case you want that. Of course, I think the stand is a great idea, especially when it comes to displaying the figure like up on a shelf or something like that. If you really want to be confident that it's not going to fall, I really feel like those are a great thing to include. And then we also, of course, have the female here, and like I said, that is just unbelievable. The quality of these, I could just feel such a high quality on the figures themselves, but it is just absolutely unbelievable how much quality there is when it comes to the sculpt, the paint, and just in general the screen accuracy. Man, these things are just absolutely unbelievable. Let me go ahead and see if we can get this one to stand here. If I can reposition the feet. I wonder if we can actually get the neutral position. So if we can stand in a neutral position, that really says, oh, wow, there we go. That says a lot about Nanmu and how good this figure is. You can see even in just like a totally neutral position, the Raptor can stand just fine on its own. So, wow, I am almost speechless at this point. Let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look, and we'll check out both of these Raptors from there. So if we begin with the male Velociraptor, just look at that. That is absolutely incredible to just see that head sculpt looking so beautifully detailed and so screen accurate. They captured the likeness of this Velociraptor perfectly. You got the crests and everything, as well as, again, the coloration that you would expect to see on a Jurassic Park 3 style Velociraptor. You have a nice mixture of kind of like brownish tones, but even a little bit of grayish tones there within the palette of the Raptor. Then you have this lighter kind of tan or like yellowish brown down here that extends up into the upper jaw and everything. We've also got a nice wash applied to the figure, so all the cracks and crevices of the skin texture is highlighted perfectly. As you get nice and close, you can see how nicely detailed that eye is. Again, you've got the reds, the yellow, black pupil. You've got a very nice realistic gloss coat there for the eye shining. We also have that bluish tone there circling around the eye. You got the red on the crest up there. You have the nostrils sculpted out up here on the tip of the snout. And of course, we also have the quills up here on the back of the head and neck of our Velociraptor, exactly as you do see on the male versions in Jurassic Park 3. They are a little bit flexible, which you can see right there. You can also see up on the top, you've got the variations of like brownish tones as well as some darker tones. Looks like maybe like there's some black that's been applied up there moving through the course of the figure. We also have the white leading back here from the eye area kind of following along through the course of the figure. We do, of course, have an articulated jaw. You can see the jaw opens very nicely. You can place it pretty much anywhere you want, and it stays perfectly. Very impressive skin texture right there for the inside of the mouth as the skin is stretching with the mouth open. You can see the tongue there on the inside of the mouth. We also have some variation of like pinks and reds for the inside of the mouth to really highlight how nice the detail is, and of course give it a very realistic look. The teeth as well have that, you know, trademark Nanmu material where they have as realistic looking of an appearance as it gets. Like they look like real genuine teeth. That was another thing I was really wondering if they were using that material for the teeth on these articulated figures, and they absolutely have. They have a nice shine to them. The entire inside of the mouth has a nice gloss coat. Again, as super realistic as it could possibly get. Also, it's honestly hard to tell, but it almost looks like the tongue kind of articulates, but I might just be pushing it up, I'm not sure, but it does seem to be moving for me. But again, that jaw works so nicely, and you can, of course, close it, and it stays closed very nicely. As you move back, you can see the ear for the Velociraptor. As we begin to move down into the neck, you've got areas of articulation, and that allows for, again, all sorts of really nice posability. You can get some really nice turns in the neck of the Velociraptor with left and right turns. I think you could probably swivel it all the way around if you choose to. And we can also get a downward motion as well as an upward motion for the neck. And again, this really does allow for a whole lot of really nice posability for the Raptor. And I like that the joints don't seem loose at all. They seem almost a little stiff, but not like stiff to the point where it's an inconvenience to move them. It's stiff to the point where it feels like the articulation is safe, like it's not going to just get loose over time and then start to sag. It does not have that feel to it at all. As we move down into the body, you can continue to see the variation of color. You can see all sorts of very slight differences in color. You can see some slight areas of black has been added to the variations of browns. You've got kind of like a striping here moving along the back. We continue to have that white sort of squiggling through the course of the body. Incredibly smooth transition down to the lighter tone on the side, kind of like that yellowish brown that you see on the Raptor. The skin texture is honestly out of this world. It is so perfect to what you see on a Jurassic Park style Raptor. As you move down into the arms, we do have a spot of articulation right here in the shoulder, which can go forward and back very nicely. It can also come out away from the body a little bit, so you can see you've got some mobility that way as well. It can actually go out really far, which is impressive. And then as you move down, you've also got the elbow articulation, which can go forward and back, and kind of swivels a little bit. And then you can also, actually, I wonder how much it swivels. Yes, it absolutely can swivel all the way around, so you can see that. And then you've also got wrist articulation, forward and back again, and also can swivel, so you can fix the wrists if you really choose to. You can go that route for the Raptor. But as you move down through the course of the arm, you can see again that we've got the nice variations of browns and blacks. You've also got super nice looking skin texture, and then you lead down and the hands turn into a nice reddish tone, especially in the palms of the hands. And you can see that we have like a black dry brushing running over the scoots of the fingers, as well as a nice black for the nails. As we move back up here into the stomach region, you've got another spot of articulation right here in the midsection, like that classic area of articulation right here. You can also go up and down in that area, and that works really nicely, just adding a little extra posability for the Raptor, again giving you even more movement that you can achieve with the figure. As you continue to move back, you see the spinal column and the hip bone there kind of protruding from the skin. As you lead down into the leg, you've got nice muscle definition here in the thigh. Again, incredible paintwork moving down. You've got the striping effect, the nice browns, the lighter tone moving along the back of the thigh. We of course have hip articulation forward and back, which is insanely smooth. And like, look at how high up you can get that leg. Like that goes, so you could go all the way up there. Like, actually, I guess you could probably loop it all the way around if you really choose to. And you can also kind of move the leg in and out like this. So you've got some nice mobility there. You can even go like this, kind of wobble it that way. So the articulation is super impressive in the hip region. And then you also have knee articulation, and you can see how it is a little bit stiff, but still moving very nicely. That can also probably swivel. Yeah, I'm not really going to do it too much because of the positioning of the leg, but it definitely feels like it can swivel there as well. Then you've got some ankle articulation down here, which can swivel, and again go forward and back. You can actually get that up pretty high, and then lead that back as well. And then you even have articulation right here. Let me go ahead and actually fix that. We have articulation right here, so you can move this little spot of the, you can see like with the toes, you can move it. You can also swivel that. And if that's not enough, you have articulation in this toe as well. The sickle claw toe seems to go forward and back a little bit, also comes out away from the foot right there. The forward, like up and down motion, you don't have a whole lot to it, but like, I didn't even think that was articulating in the first place, so to have any articulation there is super impressive. But as you lead down, again, you have all the muscle definition and everything that you would want to see, all the fantastic skin texture. You again transition to a very dark variation of a red. As you move down into the foot of the Raptor, you've got the very nice detailing there when you move down the toes with the scoots, as well as the black for the nails, and everything looks great in that area as well. And then you lead back up into the tail. You've got another articulated joint right here as you move out, again giving you all sorts of mobility, and then one more as you move out to here, again all sorts of mobility with the tail, which can also swivel. And what is great, first of all, you can see the detailing and the paintwork continues to look fantastic moving out, but as you move out into the tail, this area is a wire tail, just like you see with like the Hammond collection and stuff, so you can then bend and articulate that area of the tail as well, which is just the icing on the cake, I think, for this figure. And the wire that they've used just also feels very high quality, like it's not something that when you push it, it just bends really easy. Like, it feels like it's definitely going to stand the test of time. But as you lead out, you again have the coloration transition to a reddish tone. As you lead out into the tip of the tail, you have that white disappearing, and then you have a little bit of a striping effect moving out. You can see the detail here on the underside as well. Absolutely incredible. You can see all sorts of variation of color with the dark wash, like some tans, light grays or off-whites. You've even got yellowish tones down here moving along the underside of the Raptor. And then, of course, the same thing for the opposing side. Man, this is absolutely a masterpiece. And then we also have the female raptor. So if we get a nice close look at the head sculpt for the female, again, as screen accurate as it absolutely gets, the detailing I think is going to be for the most part pretty much the same on this one like we saw on the other one, because there aren't too many differences when it comes to the general appearance of a JP3 raptor, whether it be the male or the female. The coloration and the quills are the main differences, but you can see that the skin texture looks fantastic on this one. Again, we've got that nice dark wash highlighting all of the detail. You can see we've got that reddish tone there circling around the eye, some of the darker variations of like a very dark gray sort of circling around the eye as well, striping down. You've got some more of that kind of striping through the jaw. We also have that sort of off-white with that slight yellowish tint to it like you do see on the JP3 female raptors. We've also got the nostrils right there, and you can see we have that same type of patterning up here on the top of the head like you would want to see. Just like with the other, we have an articulated jaw. Looks like maybe the pink might be a little bit lighter on this one compared to what we saw on the other one, but again, we have that reddish wash applied just like we saw on the other one. Actually, I don't even know if we looked at the inside of the mouth and the upper side. There you go, you can get a nice look at the inside of the mouth as much as we possibly can to show you that the detail is honestly phenomenal. Even on the inside of the mouth of the raptor on the upper side, you can see that that nice reddish wash highlights all of the detail up there as well. The gloss coat as well shines beautifully on this figure, and again we have those extremely realistic teeth on the figure on top of everything. As you continue to move along, you can see we've got the yellow eye with the black pupil sporting that nice gloss coat. We again have the same areas of articulation on this one just like we had with the male version. Look at that. Look at how nice that head turns into a downward position. Like, it's not often you get articulated figures that have this much mobility in the neck. But as you lead down, you can see that we have that kind of striping effect where it's sort of like broken up, following down through the course of the side of the neck. We also have the patterning moving along the top. You can see that it's basically a darker gray variation with like a light brown sort of outlining around it. We can also see the osteoderms following along, or like small ridges following along the top of the neck. Some more small osteoderms moving down through the side. Of course, as we lead down, again, all of the articulation is going to be the same for the figure. I don't feel like we really need to show examples of that off too much with this one since we've already done it with the male. But you can see, again, we have that striping and that patterning moving down through the arm. As you lead down, we do transition to like a almost like a maroon or reddish tone for the hands. Again, we've dry brushed out the scoots moving over the fingers. And yet again, we have the nails painted very nicely with a black. There's even some slight pinkish tones running along the underside of the lower jaw down into the throat, and a striping effect moving down. As we continue to lead down, you can see again that the paintwork is absolutely as smooth and naturalistic as it gets. We yet again have that area of articulation here in the midsection, and then as you lead into the leg, again, you have more of that pattern moving through. There's just so many random little like stripes and spots and stuff on the female raptor that you can see Nanmu has captured all of that on this figure. We have the striping effect moving down through the course of the leg. Again, that dark wash that they've applied to this figure highlights all of the detail, making the skin look as realistic as it could possibly get. We transition again to that same tone like we had in the hands. As we lead down into the feet, we again have highlighted the scoots with a lighter tone this time rather than a darker tone moving down the feet. The nails are painted with a black. You can even see the cracks and crevices in the nails of the feet, and yes, the dew claws as well are painted. And then you lead back up as you lead out into the tail. Again, we have more of that very cool patterning moving out as you lead the entire way out, paint from head to tail on this figure. And as you lead along the underside, that as well looks absolutely stellar. Man, I honestly am so blown away with these figures. These are absolutely the best articulated Jurassic Park style dinosaurs that I think you'll find on the market anywhere, and also the highest quality. Now, as far as a size goes, I tried to get this in a position where it's sort of standing where it's probably best to measure it. First of all, lengthwise is something where you want the tail stretched out pretty good. You were looking at about 13.5 inches, or around a little over 34 centimeters, and then height-wise, and of course this would change depending on the positioning you have your raptor in. You are looking at just shy of 5.5 inches, or a hair under 14 centimeters, but we could easily make it go far over that if we just stood the raptor up taller. But for a size comparison, There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Nanmu Super Articulated Smart Series JP3 Velociraptor, the male only, because I just feel like we don't really need both of them in here for this. But you can see the Raptor does sport a very nice, very impressive size to it on top of everything. It's not a small figure by any means. I think it's kind of similar in size to the Amber collection, if I'm not incorrect, but for another comparison to further give us an idea of that. First of all, here is my Hammond collection Velociraptor that I customized to, upgrade my Raptor, but obviously you can see that the size difference is pretty massive between the Nanmu version and the Hammond collection version, so obviously the Nanmu Raptor is significantly larger. And then here is an Amber collection Velociraptor Echo that I recently purchased so I could customize it. It's got a really weak left leg, so it keeps trying to fall, so I have it in a bit of an awkward position, but you can see that these figures are actually very similar in size. When it comes to like the general scale, I feel like they are pretty much right there in the same scale as each other, so if you happen to have any Amber collection Raptors in your collection, you're going to have a pretty good idea, I think, of the size of the Nanmu Raptor. If you look here, you can see very similar in size as a whole. Obviously, just way better when it comes to the proportions of the Nanmu version over the Amber collection version. And then when it comes to a comparison with your standard everyday Mattel Velociraptor, you can see still, again, the Nanmu version wins it by a mile. And if you happen to have acquired any of the Nanmu model kit versions of their Raptor or their Soul of the Dragon version of the Raptor that had come out, you'll have a pretty good idea here because this Raptor, which is the model kit version, is the same size as the one that they had released. And you can see, again, a good bit smaller than our Smart Series version. So these Nanmu Super Articulated Smart Series Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptors are game changers, if you ask me. Like, Nanmu already has raised themselves to a very high level of popularity as well as a high level of quality for their releases, but I feel like they just drastically jumped up quite a few notches when it comes to not just their quality, but the level of popularity that they are going to see moving forward. Because right now, I would say probably one of the most popular things when it comes to this collecting community would be articulated dinosaurs. And the fact that Nanmu has now thrown their hat into this game means that we now have one of the highest quality companies producing articulated Jurassic Park style dinosaurs. And as I said, I don't know that I have ever seen, nor will I ever see, a better articulated Jurassic Park type dinosaur than what I'm seeing from Nanmu right now. The sculpts on these are, again, as spot on and screen accurate as you are going to find for a Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor. I don't know of any figure or model out there that is better than what you see from these Nanmu figures. Like, they are just almost like they reached into the screen and then pulled them right out and articulated them into figures to give to us. On top of the insanely screen-accurate appearance, you also have very impressive fine detail that is exceptionally crisp on the figure. On top of that, you also have extremely high-quality paint apps, and when you have something like this, like, I was very curious as to how good the paint apps would be on this, if they would still be as good as what you see on the regular mainline Nanmu models. And honestly, they are just as good, if not better, than what we see on the mainline Nanmu models. It's also great to finally see the male here with the quills on his head, something that so many companies that have released Jurassic Park 3 Raptors in the past, it's always that one thing that they're missing. Nanmu has now given us the male raptor with the quills on the head, which is honestly the icing on the cake for this release. And then if you combine all of that with the fact that these are articulated to the max, you've got yourself a home run. And not only are they articulated to the max, but I love how nice the articulation works. It's super smooth and it's like very stable. It doesn't seem to like collapse or anything like that. At least mine don't right here. They are standing beautifully here in any pose that I put them in, and they have given us stands just in case you have any stability issues or you just want to have, like, you know, that less worry about them falling over if you put them up on your shelf, which I will definitely be using the stands to keep them up there. But again, they've covered all their bases with this release and given me probably one of the absolute best releases that I've ever had the pleasure of checking out here on this channel. So, if you are interested in grabbing these, if you have not ordered them already, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase these from Lana Time Shop right now. So make sure you check that link, go grab these absolutely incredible articulated Velociraptors, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.